All right, let's just cut through all the noise. Every day, athletes are hearing garbage advice about nutrition. Could be TikTok, their friends, trainers, coaches, parents, and ultimately it's holding them back. So today I'm breaking down 10 things I do not recommend as a sports dietitian, sports nutritionist, whatever you want to call me. And not to call anyone out, but we got to do better. We got to make sure you're eating better, performing better, and really help you not waste time and money by doing things that don't work. So let's get into it. Almond milk has almost no protein, and athletes keep thinking it's a healthy alternative to cow's milk. Almond milk has like 1 gram of protein. A high protein almond milk has maybe 2 to 4 grams of protein versus cow's milk that has 8. Almond milk has pretty much no nutrition. There's usually no vitamin D. There's usually no other extra things in there like calcium, etc. It's usually just freaking almonds and water. You cannot replace a performance enhancing food with a watered down alternative. If you can't drink cow's milk because you're lactose intolerant, it upsets your stomach, you're allergic to it, then let's do soy milk. It's the closest milk nutritionally to regular milk. Otherwise, if you're just doing it to do it, just stick to regular milk, stick to Fairlife, and fuel the way that you should fuel. Again, almond milk's not enough. Oat milk has like 3 grams of protein. Cashew milk has maybe 2 or 3 grams of protein. Like all of these are very poor replacements to regular milk. And if you guys are like, oh, soy, I don't know about that. We're going to break that one down here in a few too. All right. Number 2, you're not performing like an athlete because you're not eating like one. Carbs equal fuel. If you're avoiding bread, rice, potatoes, oats, then you are underperforming, period. You may see some pro athlete not eating carbs, not eating breads, grains, rice, potatoes. Chances are they are, and you're just not seeing it. But also, we got to understand that just because some pro athlete is doing something doesn't mean it's actually working. It might actually mean that they are secretly limiting their potential and they just have a lot of talent to make up for it. So understand that just because something is working doesn't mean it's helping. It might just be it's there and it's working in spite. They're succeeding in spite of what they're doing. Your body needs carbs to train, to recover, to compete. You've got to have carbohydrates to fuel that performance. It's like driving your car in an empty gas tank. You know, you're going to break down that car. You're going to break down your protein. You're going to break down other things to try to give you energy, and it's never going to be enough. You're never going to perform the way that you can if you're completely cutting out carbs. So depending on your goals, you might have to shift how much carbs you're eating. You might have to shift what types of carbs you're eating. But it doesn't mean you're cutting it all out altogether. We need to make sure we're getting carbs pre-workout, carbs post-workout. We need to make sure we're getting carbs sprinkled in at different meals. Doesn't mean a crazy amount. You know, if you're trying to lean out, maybe we're doing smaller portions, but we're also balancing that out with other proteins, with veggies, with other things to make sure that you still feel satisfied. As an athlete, you should not be going to bed hungry. You should not be going to the gym hungry. You should not be running on an empty stomach because otherwise you are limiting your potential. So make sure that you are getting carbs, especially pre and post workout. All right, number 3. Protein won't fix low energy if you're not eating enough overall. So many athletes are obsessing over protein. They got their 3 protein shakes a day. They're counting their protein. They're getting a gram per pound of body weight or maybe even more, yet they're skipping breakfast. Their lunch is a protein shake and their pre-workout ends up being a protein shake. Just because you hit your protein goal, just because you got enough grams in a day, does not mean you're eating enough. It does not mean you're going to build muscle. It does not mean you are going to perform the way that you should be performing. If you are only focused on protein, you are limiting your potential. I don't care if you are trying to gain weight or lean out. If you are only focused on protein, you are limiting yourself. So yes, we need protein. Yes, protein helps build muscle. It helps preserve muscle if we're trying to lean out. But if that's our only focus, you're not going to perform the way that you want. You're not going to get the results you want. and it's ultimately going to limit your full potential. Speaking of protein, if you're eating enough protein, BCAAs are basically like expensive Kool-Aid. BCAAs are so hyped up. I literally was just talking to a parent where it's like, yeah, my athlete's like cutting out sugar, he's getting the protein, and then we're taking BCAAs. And I'm like, so why are you taking the BCAAs? And they just kind of talk about performance recovery, and I get it. And I'm not like judging the parent, the athlete, anything like that. It's just because this is becoming such a common issue, yet there's little science to actually back it up. I never want to call out a parent or an athlete directly, so that's why I wouldn't like say that like name or whatever. But I say it because we've got to do better. We've got to actually check ourselves. We actually got to check the research. Just because we hear about BCAAs doesn't make BCAAs good. Consistently these science has shown that BCAAs compared to just taking whey protein, just eating regular old protein, is not any better. So just throwing the BCAAs on top of it or substituting protein for BCAAs, like taking that BCAAs instead, neither of those are going to add any benefit to you as an athlete or as really anybody. It's a waste of money. BCAAs are a waste of money. Focus on getting real protein. Start with food first, okay? Let's get the real food focus, the meats, the poultry, the yogurt, the milks, the soy products, all those things. Let's focus on those things first, the eggs. Then we can consider protein powders, protein shakes, if we actually do our research and don't just take anything off of GNC's shelf. But we do not need to take BCAAs. BCAAs are a waste of money. All right. Number 5, skipping breakfast equals missed fuel. It means low energy, worse workouts, and slower recovery. So a lot of athletes tell me, yeah, I'm just not hungry in the morning. That's because you haven't eaten breakfast in the morning for a couple years. Your body is highly adaptable. Your body will learn if you teach it to learn, if you're willing to challenge it a little bit. Same goes for like picky eaters. You challenge yourself a little bit. You try new foods. You put a little veggies mixed in with your spaghetti or mixed into your sandwiches, and over time you will get used to those foods. The same thing with breakfast. Your body, you have basically had this message that used to tell you, hey, I'm hungry. Hey, like, let's get some food here. And you stopped listening to it. And you did not answer the door. And so they left. So let's start reintroducing that. It doesn't have to be anything big. Let's get even a Cliff Bar, even piece of toast with some peanut butter, a little turkey sandwich, a little Greek yogurt with some fruit. Let's get some protein. Let's get some light carbs. Let's just start there. You may not feel like eating a lot in the morning, but let's at least get something in. You do that consistently over time. You start building new routines, just like you build a new sleep schedule, and your body will start getting used to it. And you will start performing the way that you should. If you are avoiding breakfast, then you are avoiding your full potential. You've got to get something in because number one, how are you going to get enough protein in the day if you're skipping the first 4 hours of the day? How are you going to get enough calories on the day if you're skipping the first 4 hours of eating? If you want to perform at your full potential, you cannot skip breakfast. All right. Number 6, if you can't train without pre-workout, your meal plan is broken. Using caffeine every single day to train is masking a much deeper issue. Either you're not getting enough sleep, you're not getting enough or the right nutrition, or you're not getting enough hydration. Your energy suck isn't because you need caffeine, it's because you need sleep, you need proper nutrition, and you need proper hydration. If you are relying on pre-workout, energy drinks, just straight coffee, whatever caffeine, and you're using that as a crutch and you're relying on that every single day as an athlete, then you're ultimately going to be limiting your recovery, your sleep, and your consistency. Now, as you get older, caffeine may become a normal part of your day, and that can be okay. Right now, I do not recommend that for teenagers, just based on what we know. But I also, the amount of caffeine that we're taking and the time that we're taking it. A lot of you guys are taking pre-workout at 3 o'clock in the afternoon right before your practices. That caffeine, that 200 milligrams of caffeine, about 40 to 50% of that, so 7,500 milligrams of that caffeine is still going to be in your system about 10 hours later. So at, let's say, 3, I can't even do math. That'd be like 1 a.m. You still are going to have some of that caffeine in your system. You are not going to get restful sleep unless you are the genetic anomaly that can drink caffeine at night and not get phased by it. You are not going to sleep well. If you drink caffeine later, you're going to struggle with falling asleep, staying asleep, and getting into deep REM sleep, which is actually where you get real recovery. If you're not getting into REM sleep, you're not truly recovering. So yeah, you might use it sparingly. You might use it for big days, but if you use it on a constant basis, you're going to limit yourself. Build your energy from your habits, not your scoop. All right. Number 7. So this one goes back to what we were talking about before with the milk alternatives. Soy does not lower your testosterone. Stop falling for 2012 internet myths. Oh my gosh, guys, this is probably the one that irritates me the most because not only has this been proven over and over and over again by science, this is something that's been proven by freaking me since basically 2012. I've been drinking soy milk since, I would say, probably 2015, to be honest, probably, yeah, about 10 years-ish. Drinking usually a cup a day, sometimes 2 cups a day on a very consistent basis. And I can promise you, my testosterone levels have not been impacted by that. This whole idea that soy reduces testosterone, whatever, just because it has a phytoestrogen in it, so like a estrogen-like chemical in it, does not mean it's bad for you. If soy was bad for you, then all of Japan would be struggling with testosterone. Because Japan eats soy on a freaking daily basis. The tofu, the miso, all the things that they eat that have soy in it, they would be having issues. So why aren't they if soy causes testosterone issues? Make that make sense. What's funny is the research actually shows the opposite. Soy actually helps reduce risk of breast cancer, reduce risk of prostate cancer. It's actually been shown to be preventative of cancers versus causing cancers or causing any other issues to our hormones. It actually does more for us. Soy is a complete protein as well. It has potassium, it has electrolytes, it has these other things that you need to be successful, to really fulfill your potential. So this hormone fear is outdated and unsupported. So the fact that I can go to the freaking grocery store, Costco, and find almond milk, coconut milk, I can find all these alternative milks, and then I can barely find soy milk. And it's because of this outdated science, this outdated research that has never been shown to truly be harmful for people, including men. So let's stop buying into it. Let's start exploring soy milk if we can't drink regular milk. Let's start exploring tofu as a protein, edamame, soy, another protein, another vegetable. Let's start eating them. Let's start putting those in because they're protein rich. They got potassium. They got other things that you need for recovery, for performance. Soy is a legit option for performance nutrition. All right. Number 8, your salad isn't fueling your performance. It's actually holding you back. Okay. I hear athletes are like, yeah, I'm eating clean, or parents are like, yeah, they eat really clean. They're eating salads at lunch. I'm like, okay, like how's their energy levels? Yeah, not great. It's like, yeah, so it might be the salad. I don't know, the salad that's just like lettuce, some chicken, maybe some tomatoes or cucumbers sprinkled in there. You have zero energy coming from that and very little calories altogether. You are an athlete. If you are relying on salads every day for lunch and you're trying to perform like an athlete, it will not happen. You will be under fueled. You will be higher risk for injury. Greens help you with reducing your risk of injury. But if you're eating those salads in replacement of foods that will fuel your performance, then yeah, you will get injured. So yes, salads can be good, but let's have the salads with some carbs. Let's add some fruit on there. Let's add a little rice or something on the side. Let's have some bread with it. Let's have something with carbs in it. Y'all need energy. And this is even more common in my endurance athletes. I'm like, endurance athletes, y'all burn more carbs than my baseball players. Y'all need more carbs. Let's stop cutting out the carbs. Let's combine it. Let's add to it. Let's maybe blend some of the greens so that we're getting that nutrition, but then it's not filling us up as much, because then we can add carbs, we can add fats, we can add protein, we can add all the other things to that smoothie. So like, let's stop relying on salads when you gotta eat 3,000 calories a day. Stop eating like some random freaking influencer on Instagram, TikTok. Eat like an athlete. Fuel like an athlete. You gotta fill that gas tank up. Add the carbs, add the protein, add the healthy fats. Eat real meals and stop just chasing clean. Chase performance. All right, we are getting there. We've got 2 more for you guys, and it just gets better. Number 9. If TikTok told you to take it, it's probably not legit. Most supplements are not tested. Many aren't even legal for NCAA athletes, and most of them do nothing to help your performance. I already trashed on BCAAs. They're not any better than just regular protein. But we also got the mass gainers. The mass gainers that are just fillers. Yeah, you get some protein. You might get some protein, but you can get that protein from food. You might get some calories, but it's a bunch of empty calories that's not necessarily going to help your performance. Yeah, you might gain some weight, but is that weight going to be muscle, or is it going to be muscle and some fat? Are you going to feel slower, or are you actually going to start performing better while gaining that weight? The issue with mass gainers, there's many issues. One of the issues with mass gainers is that it's just calories. It's not like you saying, okay, I'm having these carbs pre-workout so that I can perform better for the workout. It's not like, hey, I'm getting protein carbs post-workout so I can get recovery post-workout. I'm just shoving calories in. It's basically you walking into a fast food place and just like, yeah, give me all the fries and chicken nuggets, and that's going to be my calories. It's basically what you're doing with these mass gainers. I also talked about the caffeine. Stop relying on the caffeine. If your performance is dependent on caffeine, if that's the only way that you can get through a game, then you are not playing to your full potential. It doesn't mean you never have caffeine, but if that's your only way to function, then you're doing it wrong. So what should you do instead? Let's start with real food. Start with food. You cannot out-supplement a bad diet. So if you're relying on BCAAs, mass gainers, protein powders, all these things, and you're not just fixing your freaking diet, you are limiting your potential. Then from there, let's start with actually what's proven. Let's start with what actually has science to it. Creatine is one of, if not the most well-researched supplement for athletes. Creatine monohydrate. If you're gonna add a supplement to your nutrition, to what you're already eating, that's good. Add the creatine. Then we can consider whey protein, maybe caffeine, but in moderation. Maybe we do vitamin D depending on what your environment is. If you're in Pacific Northwest, you probably need vitamin D. Maybe it's omega-3s because you're not eating enough and you can't eat enough, whatever it might be. But we got to stop just willy-nilly, yeah, that TikTok influencer recommended it, or that athlete's taking it, or my friend's taking it, so I'm just going to take it. Y'all, if I cussed, I would be cussing. Like, if you want to be an elite athlete, stop just listening to whatever advice you get from anybody. And with supplements, make sure it's actually third-party tested. If you're just taking any supplement on GNC shelf or super supplements or whatever, Amazon, you're just finding whatever, you're like, oh, creatine, oh, hey, let me grab the first one. Or, oh, let me grab the cheapest one. Chances are you're going to get some garbage in there. Supplements are not regulated the same way as food. So you might find that you might be taking things in there that are not on that label. So you might be thinking you're taking creatine monohydrate, but maybe 50% of that is rice. Or maybe it has some testosterone in there. Maybe your mass gainer also has some testosterone in there. Maybe your pre-workout has some other chemicals that are trying to stimulate you in another way that could also potentially harm you as an athlete, as a youth, as anybody. So make sure it's NSF certified for sport or Informed Sport tested. All right, number 10. Spring break didn't ruin your progress, but that guilt spiral might. Calling your meal a cheat meal creates guilt. If you cheated in a game or if you cheated on a test, chances are you got some guilt inside. So why are we describing our food as a cheat meal when cheating makes us feel bad, or when cheating gets us kicked out of the game? Like, Again, make that make sense. The things that we do with food that we don't do with anything else. We call it a cheat meal, but then we shun people who cheat. We shun people who cheat in a game, in a relationship, in some other area of their life. Then why are we like, oh yeah, I'm eating my cheat meal? There's a lot of ways we could take that. Why? Just because you're taking a meal and having some pizza doesn't mean you're quitting. It doesn't mean that you are ruining your season. It's one meal. When I talk to athletes, we talk about the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, you got to be eating performance enhancing foods. The other 20% of the time, maybe 10% if you're really bold, you do more flexible stuff. You have a little bit more fun. Maybe you have that pad thai with that little bit of fried kind of foods. Maybe you have pizza from time to time. But let's set you up for success in all of your other meals, and let's stop calling it a freaking cheat meal. Because if you don't want to cheat in your game, then let's stop cheating in your food. Ditch this all or nothing mindset. Let it go. The best athletes are the ones who reset fast, who can throw an interception and bounce back right afterwards, who allow a home run and bounce back right afterwards to get two, three straight strikeouts. They bounce back. They move on. We got to do the same thing with our food. Like, it's so funny to me that so many people struggle to bounce back with food, but then talk about bouncing back when it comes to their training or, in a game or whatever it might be. Okay? We good? Awesome. Now, if any of these sound familiar, then good. That means you're learning. You're not just listening to the hype. You're not just following whatever's on TikTok. Let's stop just letting bad advice hold you back. Let's start fueling like an elite athlete, not just following some fad diet or some fad routine that we find on social media. Think long term. Not just what sounds good right now, but think about, hey, how can this thing maybe impact me long term? How could this hurt me? How could this testosterone, how could this whatever thing, how could this impact me long term? All right, guys. I know that there's a lot of trends out there. I know there's a lot of garbage on TikTok, on Instagram, and you guys are probably like, who do I listen to? This person says this person says the complete opposite. What do I do? This is why people pay to work with me as well. But if you guys just have a question, you guys want to learn something, again, like the almond milk, the BCAAs, whatever, and you guys genuinely ask me a question and want to learn, like, hey, is this actually legit? Shoot me a message. Ask the question. Be curious. Curious athletes are athletes that tend to win more. Curious people tend to be the ones that are more successful. Ask the questions, and chances are I'll make a video like this about it. I'll talk about it. I'll expand. I'll do the research and help you guys understand it. I want to make sure you guys are making the best decisions possible as athletes. I don't want you guys following some TikTok influencer just because they have a lot of followers or because they have a six-pack. Okay? All right. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening. Make sure you guys share this with somebody who needs to hear it. And as always, keep striving for greatness.